Welcome to Steel Talks, a podcast by ArcelorMittal. In this episode, host Tom Cheesewright meets with members of the AMNS India team, including CEO Dilip Oommen and heads of operations and sales and marketing Wim van Gerven and Ranjan Dhar, to talk about India's economic development and the implications that this has on the country's steel demand and outlook.
Thank you all so much for joining me. If I could ask you to introduce yourselves one by one, starting with you, Dilip, just give us your name and your role at AMNS.
Thank you for having me on your podcast. My name is Dilip Oommen, and I'm the CEO of ArcelorMittal Nippon Steel.
Fantastic. And you, Ranjan?
My name is Ranjan Dhar, and I head the sales and marketing for ArcelorMittal Nippon Steel.
And last but not least, you, Wim.
Hello, everyone. My name is Wim van Gerven, and I'm Chief Operating Officer for ArcelorMittal Nippon Steel India.
Let's start the first question with you, Dilip. India is a growing market, one that gets lots of international attention. What does it look like from the perspective of a steel company?
The steel growth and the GDP growth have a fairly good correlation. If you look at the GDP growth for fiscal year 24, it has been at 8.2%. Quarter four of the fiscal year was at 7.8%. And the expected growth rate of this for this year is 6.8%. So unlike any other developing nation or developed nation, it's really very encouraging. And therefore, we expect steel growth rate to be a little higher than this. We expect it to be in the region of around 8% to 9%. The main demand comes in from the infrastructure space. The budget this year has been in the region of about $130 billion, which is about 11% higher than what was budgeted last year. Another way to look at it is that the per capita steel consumption in India is around 95, which is very low compared even to the average world over, which is around 230.
That's kilograms, is it?
Kilogram, absolutely. So there is a long way to go. And therefore, until it catches up with at least the average, we can expect a robust growth to happen in India. It'll be much beyond that, but at least the average is around 2.4 times higher than what it is in India. So infrastructure, there is a big scope to improve. Automotive, there is a big scope to improve. Transition energy space, there is a big scope to improve. I think the scope in India looks quite good for the next few years.
Fantastic. Ranjan, if I can come to you to dive into that a bit further, there's clearly particular industries that Dilip was mentioning there that have got enormous scope for expansion. And he mentioned their infrastructure, he mentioned automotive and transition energy, renewable energy. When I was over in India last summer, that was an enormous space for investment, which must have a very large steel component of it. Can you talk about in a bit more detail about some of those industries that are really driving growth in demand?
If you dive deep into it, India is in the phase of nation building currently. So there is a huge demand happening in almost all the sectors that you talk about. I'll just give you a perspective on each. Automobile, for example, India last year produced nearly 4 million cars. Now, on one side, it looks good because we were producing just half only a few years back. But if you compare that with China, China has exported nearly 4 million cars. They have produced around 25, 26 million cars. It gives us the headroom where the potential lies for India. Now, for example, infrastructure growth. We are having a demand growth in infrastructure close to around 14 to 15%. The sectors in India where the demand is very high and those sectors do not exist in many other countries. For example, tractors and farm equipment. India produces nearly 1 million tractors a year. So India produces nearly 20 million two-wheelers a year. So all these sectors actually pull the demand for the country. And you talked about the renewable, both solar and wind have got huge potential in India. We are just scraping the surface at the moment. The whole green energy for 500 gigawatt is a target the government of India has put for the year 2030. We should reach there. And for that development to happen, there is huge amount of solar parks being developed, huge amount of wind parks being developed. So for that, the demand of steel is actually growing pretty fast. And we have launched and in the process of launching many new products which are not existing in India currently from AMNS so that the customers in India have the benefits of those products.
Can you give me an example of a product that's specifically targeted at one of those sectors?
One is, for example, the Magnolus product that we have already launched. It is under the stabilization phase. Production has started. This goes for solar application, one of the key application, but even other applications like water tankages and stuff like that. So high anti-corrosive properties this product has. So this is one product. We are in the implementation phase, we're in the development phase of a new cold rolling mill at Hazira, 2 million ton new cold rolling mill. Now, this cold rolling mill is not a catch up with what is being produced in India. Globally, ArcelorMittal and Nippon Steel, they are the world leaders in automobile steel. And they are here in India in this JV, that is AMNS. So whatever is available in the best of class product for automobile sector, we are getting to AMNS. And then not only the steel product, even the solution. For example, the multiple part integration. The MPI solution is being developed here, so which offers a huge weight reduction for the automobile, which is not available in India. Any automobile company in India which has to develop this product, they have to currently be dependent on imports. And because of which the product development also gets delayed because they think, okay, this is not available in India. How do I source it? But now, if this product is available in India, we are finding huge amount of interest with all the automobile manufacturers in the country to develop their product line basis the availability of this product.
Given the scale of that demand, you must be looking to capitalize on the growth. And if I can bring in all of you in here, what are the steps that the joint venture is taking to capitalize on that growth in terms of servicing that demand?
There are two types of demand. One demand which is already there, which is being catered by imports, and one part of demand which is not there because people are not using those products. For example, Magnolus, for example, the MPI solutions and stuff like that. So when that product gets launched in India by AMNS, there are customers in the market waiting to receive those products. So then that shift happens on top of what is being consumed today. So it is a shift that will happen from import to domestic and the new demand generation because of the shift in the way the customer procure these products currently.
Dilip, can I bring you in there? What's the overall sort of prospect for meeting that demand?
We are not only increasing HRC capacity, but we are also expanding in our downstream. As Ranjan has just captured, we will shortly have Magnolus, we will have Optigal. Then there is a 2 million ton automotive downstream that is currently being set up, which should be in production in a few months from now. Currently, we also have our upstream expansion that's ongoing. The high-end hot strip mill with 5.5 million ton capacity is being set up. And this is state-of-the-art. It will be able to produce advanced high-strength steels, which we can use to cater to the automotive industry where there is a requirement of strength-to-weight ratio. And it will especially be also useful for emission reduction, for fuel consumption reduction, for EVs, where they are all looking at reducing the weight of vehicles.
If I can turn to you, Vim, that growth, that scale of expansion obviously brings with it additional responsibility, particularly but not exclusively where the climate is concerned. How do you balance the need to meet India's growing demand for that infrastructure and for that automotive capability, and particularly for that transitional energy, with the goals around carbon emissions?
We are very well aware of the climate ambition and the reason that every growth that we must project in the future is basically sustainable or has at least the capacity to be completely green on a longer term. The point for the moment is that although the technologies probably are almost there, the raw material like hydrogen supply and so on, and certainly green hydrogen, are absolutely not abundant available to make significant volumes out of it. So what we are doing with our expansion is that we very well look how the future, that we can anticipate the future trends in the equipment we build today. So it's basically pragmatic. On the first hand, we must satisfy the needs of the Indian society in the volume growth. On the other hand, we have to make sure that our production capacity that we are building is future ready. We reserve space in our footprint and in our land usage to make sure that we can build this additional equipment. We make all kind of preparations to add additional equipment. We are building ports with regard to the import of hydrogen or ammonia. We make them future ready. As we are going to more electrical steel making, because that is written in the stars, we are also investing hard in renewable energy, and we have already backed more than 1.2 gigawatts in renewable energy. Okay, this is not round the clock. It will be about 300 megawatts round the clock. We have already DRI plants and EAFs. If we can run these EAFs with renewable energy, and we can switch part of the existing DRI facilities onto hydrogen, which is technically possible, we will be in a pole position to do this. So we are pragmatic. We make sure that on one hand we have a sustainable economical operation which is future ready to produce later on in a green way.
I guess the climate challenge is twofold. There's the decarbonisation of your own production process, but there's also the role that steel plays in the broader transition goals of the country.
One is the green initiatives within AMNS in terms of the way we make steel. But in terms of the product that we are launching, that as I explained earlier, it also helps in reducing the carbon emission. For example, when we are launching our new auto products, Cheesewright Ductiboard in India, which is a world-renowned product of ArcelorMittal. Together with an MPI solution, it can offer a weight reduction to automobile manufacturer as high as 40%. So that itself helps them to reduce the carbon emission. Also, for example, the other product, Magnalis, when that is launched, it is for solar application. So that helps India fast track its journey towards green energy. So all that actually is also helping. The expectation of the Indian consumer is very, very high from ArcelorMittal, which has come into the country together with the joint venture partner Nippon Steel, in getting these products into India so that those solutions are available. As I explained earlier, there's a big infrastructure growth happening in the country. There is also a big thrust on the manufacturing sector in India. So India does not want to be only manufacturing for its own use. They want to provide manufacturing solution globally. For that, globally recognized products need to be available in India, and that's what we are doing in it.
You mentioned there that some of the ingredients for the transition, Vim, are not yet there in terms of the supply of green hydrogen, for example. Are there policy changes that you would want to see that might accelerate the greening of the steel industry?
There are certainly policy changes that we want to make it happen if we want to be more sustainable. We have to make sure that what we can produce is you can produce also in a financial sustainable way. When you adapt a much more expensive production process, that you have to get somehow this back from the customer in some way or the other. And this is where the governments can help us to put some regulation that this kind of product, which has to be developed also in volume and especially in volume and also in quality, that there is some preference given or some obligation given to make sure that these products can be marketed in a sustainable way without losing money. The steel industry is a very open market. It's a worldwide market. So there are a lot of international players. It's a whole system that has to be congruent with the needs of everybody who is wanting to push for green steel and make this in a sustainable way. And this is the reason we cannot wait for it. We have to scale up now the production. On the other hand, we have to be sure that we are not faced with stranded assets if all these regulations come and the need of producing in this way is there. So this is the big technical problem, and it's very much connected with the governmental framework that has been drawn in the country. The government will of course try to make sure that everyone can pay the steel. We understand that also. So there are a lot of forces in the society that have to be reckoned with, and this way it will take some time.
Was there something you wanted to add there on the green policies?
A few additions I would like to make. One is on scrap. We are trying to increase our scrap consumption. One of the policies that has to be implemented in India is the vehicle scrappage policy. The policy has come in, but it is yet to be implemented in true spirit. So that now that the elections are over, we expect it to be implemented shortly. The second is renewable energy. We will have the 1 gigawatt of renewable energy coming in the next few weeks with an RTC of about 300 megawatts. The last point that I would like to mention is the CCS. In Hazira, fortunately, we are located in a sweet spot as far as CCS is concerned. I'll not get into details, but we are studying the possibilities of CCS, but obviously at an affordable rate. But all the work is going on with academic institutions, with other industries with, let's say, oil and gas industry, who are willing to give us some abandoned wells, etc., etc. We are working on these, and I must reiterate that unlike any other plant in India, we are well situated.
Can I just come to you to give us a sort of a summary of the growth plans then over the next 5 years?
We are preparing a significant capacity increase from our current volume of 8 million tons to a rolling volume of about 14 million tons. This is going to be done by investing in a lot of additional equipment. We have first 4 coke batteries that will be built, because we are for the moment importing coke, so we want to get rid of this liability. So 4 coke batteries of almost 2.8 million tons together in coke. Then we will build 2 blast furnaces of 3,500, 3.5 million ton each. with a steel plant of 6 million tons, 3 converters. And then we will build there a hot strip mill, which will be a pickling line tandem mill with a continuous annealing line and 2 galvanizing lines in the downstream part of Hazira. But it will not stop there. We have other plants to go ahead with further capacity increase in the next 5 years. Because these projects I just mentioned should be finalized in 1 to 1.5 years. We will go then with another 3 million ton expansion and increase especially the rolling production due to the construction of a new a small steel plant with a CSP. It can be CSP, it can be ESP, it's not decided yet. But anyway, the building time is about 3 years and we are going to go full speed in this now also. In 5 years, about 17 million tons coming from 8 million tons today.
Ambitious plans. Fantastic.